Well, it looks like NephilimFree has decided to actually go up against me and respond to my videos. But, like usual, he doesn't actually ever produce any evidence. He just produces a lot of claims. But what we're going to do, instead of going through this and having to explain it, because I haven't even finished my other video series on him, what we're going to do is we're going to call this the NephilimFree drinking game. So every time he makes a claim that he doesn't back up, we're going to add a point over here to the claims dismissed series. Every time we prove him wrong on something, we're just going to add another point to it. So we're going to have a little fun. I think you get the idea of how the game is going to work. So let's get started.
One of the first things a person will notice when studying the Hawaiian Islands is as you go west down the Hawaiian Islands, the older the islands get.
Older? A few weeks to a month or 3 maybe.
Within less than 10 seconds, you're already up to your very first drink because NephilimFree made a claim that he doesn't back up. He just makes a claim, no evidence, and then somehow we're supposed to expect that this is true because he says so. So, first claim dismissed.
The westernmost island has had its volcanic rocks eroded all the way below sea level.
Well, here you've done what every evolutionist always does. Everything they believe in is based upon an assumption. You see, you've assumed, erroneously, that the westernmost islands are eroded more down below sea level than the easternmost islands because they're older. That's false. It's because of ocean current patterns. You see, here are the westernmost islands, right there, okay? And guess what? They're right in the path of a major ocean current, which passes over and above the island of Hawaii. But you didn't research that.
What? I never bothered to research it? Well, seeing that I'm an ex-creationist that used this very same argument, that's going to have to be put in under the claims being dismissed and another round of drinks for everybody. However, let's look at NephilimFree's claim and let's apply NephilimFree logic to this whole thing. NephilimFree seems to think that the age of the islands, how we're seeing them going from younger to older as we go northwest there, is a result of underwater sea currents, right? So let's take a look at this photo, but instead let's apply an overlay of all the underwater seamounts to the photo. Well, what do we see here? Well, we see quite a few of underwater seamounts that are part of this underwater current, and some that are not. Now, if NephilimFree's claim was correct, then what we see with the seamounts and islands that are part of this current, well, they should show the same amount of erosion. Hell, the test should show them being the same age since these tests are not accurate, right? And the ones that are outside of the current should look younger and less eroded. And if NephilimFree is correct, then the erosion rates of each island going northwest should be completely random. However, that's not what we see. And I'll go ahead and post a link to my other videos that has all the links for this. Of course, there are many huge problems with NephilimFree's claims and other things that he has to take into account before this claim of his would ever be valid. He would have to show that the water currents stay constant. He would have to show the water currents start from sea level and go down to 15,000 feet and always are that way. But that's not what we see, of course. But he doesn't take these things into effect. He doesn't take the effect of what affects the other side of the island. He doesn't do any of that. However, scientists, real scientists, actually do take these things into effect. But NephilimFree, no, he doesn't. So, since he did not actually prove anything, his claim is dismissed.
Because you began with your evolutionist assumptions.
False. I was an ex-creationist and I used a very similar, if not the very same, argument as you have used. So I started with the creationist assumption and then later I educated myself. So another claim dismissed.
They're also subject to more eddies. An eddy is a big round ocean pattern, a circular one, and it breaks away, and in this part of the ocean it goes northeast. And guess where they go? Right over the westernmost Hawaiian Islands.
Same claim as claim 4, so this argument is dismissed.
How many times have creationists told you that real science supports the creation model, and that evolutionists begin everything they believe with an assumption?
I would have to say just as many times as I have proven them wrong on that claim.
Maybe this will help drive that home to you.
Well, seeing that you haven't actually proven anything, you've just made a lot of claims, I think the only thing you've driven home is the fact that you make a lot of claims but never actually prove anything. I sure hope nobody actually has so far decided to drink on this game. I mean, by now it's 5 minutes into the video and you'd be pretty plastered, so please don't actually take me serious on the idea of a drinking game, because this will probably end up with a lot of people in the hospital.
That is, at least for now, because it will soon join all the underwater seamounts that we see in this island chain.
Soon? I thought nothing happens quickly, according to evolutionist geology.
Did I say soon or quickly? Obviously, as you pointed out, we're talking about evolutionist geology, which is a long time when we're talking about soon. However, in geological terms, it is a time known as soon, which is about a few 100,000 years.
Young Earth creationists like to try and explain the Hawaiian Islands and all the underwater seamounts as coming from one giant catastrophic event. Of course, what we observe today is quite the opposite of such an event.
Oh, it is?
Yes, it is, as I have shown and am continuing to show you in my Educating You series about the age of the Hawaiian Islands.
Well, I guess you forgot what I showed you and how I demonstrated how ridiculous your idea was that the Hawaiian Islands rose over periods of hundreds of thousands or millions of years than the last time you took me on with this evolution and garbage.
Ah, the Xerxes video. Somehow he thinks one island being built over here a certain way means that all islands must be built that same way over here, especially seeing that all the evidence that is associated with it says something different, as I've pointed out so far in my Educating NephilimFree on the Age of the Hawaiian Island video series. But I might have to just fast forward through his junk, but let's see what he finishes up saying before getting to that.
Okay. So let me re-educate you again. I'll bring it back up because, you have to tell an evolutionist something 13,000 times and it still won't go in their head because, hey, they're not interested in science. They're interested in finding something that supports their assumptions.
Well, NephilimFree, I have to give it to you. You are like the master of projection.
So we're going to go over it one more time for you, sport. Here it is. So this is a little clip from the last time you took me on, and here's you talking, making your ridiculous evolutionist assumptions that the layers under the Hawaiian Islands are millions of years old, and then you claim this is evidence that the Hawaiian Islands rose over periods of millions of years. Of course, then is my evidence that, that just doesn't happen geologically now, does it?
To save time, instead of playing the whole clip, basically NephilimFree plays a clip of me talking then about the Hawaiian Islands, and then puts up a video of Xerxes, and somehow makes the assumption that because Xerxes was made in just about a few years period time, that somehow Hawaiian Islands are. Of course, Xerxes is a different island, and he has to prove the Hawaiian Islands. Not Xerxes, because it's easy to prove Xerxes was made in a short time, because we've seen it. The Hawaiian Islands are different. He must actually prove the Hawaiian Islands were either made just like Xerxes in such a short amount of time, or he has to sit there and accept the evidence that the Hawaiian Islands were made in a long period of time, which I have been pointing out in my video series of Educating NephilimFree. So seeing that an island made somewhere else with different conditions and so on and so forth is not evidence for the Hawaiian Islands, that claim is dismissed. See, NephilimFree, if you want to prove the Hawaiian Islands are young, you have to prove the Hawaiian Islands are young, not a different island. That's how science works. Duh!